Okay, let's close the eyes and we'll find a nice, naturally comfortable sitting posture. Let's become aware of the spine. Try to maintain a good posture with the spine being upright, tall and vertical, head, neck, trunk, good alignment, vertical alignment, straight line, if comfortable. Gently pull the neck up, push the tailbone down. At this point, make any adjustments to your positions. You feel very naturally comfortable, no strain. Hands resting nicely on your knees or thighs. Very relaxed arms, shoulders. Feel that subtle sense of heaviness. Feel that subtle sense of heaviness of the hands on the body, wherever they are positioned. Arms and shoulders are very relaxed, shoulders just hanging loose. Feel that subtle heaviness of the entire arm, loosely dangling down. Relax the neck muscles, soften the facial muscles. Relax the jaws. Feel the whole body resting nicely on the floor. Again, feel that subtle heaviness of the whole body. Body is nicely supported by the ground. Very relaxed. You can watch your breath now as you breathe in and out. Observe the flow at the tip of the nose, just monitoring the breath. Every inhalation, becoming aware of that subtle sensation of cooling in the nostrils. Every exhalation, the gentle feeling of warmth of air. Subtle sensations. Sometimes you may not even feel these sensations. That's how subtle these movements can be. Deep awareness of the breath itself is a nice, calming, centering experience. Brings us in that state of pratyahara. Pratyahara is the ability to draw the mind from any influence from the five senses, which is a nice, almost like a prerequisite. That's what Patanjali says, that we have to go through these practices of asana pranayama, but then pratyahara becomes a very important step. in turning the mind inward, so we can then go into our stages of dharana and dhyana, etc. This very simple technique of breath awareness can help us get there. Let's recite Om 3 times. Take a deep inhalation. Open the eyes softly now. Eye exercise, and do a very simple diagonal movement today. So start by looking at the top left corner of the eyes. Then move the eyes down to the bottom right and back. Straight line, diagonal movement. Top left to bottom right in a straight line without moving the head, keeping the head very steady, keeping the spine as always very comfortably tall. Move the eyes in a straight line, smooth movement, continuous movement. Reach each of the 2 corners, pause briefly, and a little extra stretch at these 2 corners. Exercise the muscles of the eyes. As the eyes reach the center next, close them. Relax for a brief moment. The eyes, look at the top right corner of the eyes and then move them directly down to the bottom left and back. Straight line movement across from top right to bottom left, bottom left. We pause at the 2 corners and a little extra stretch to exercise the muscles during that pause. If the eyes reach the center next, close them. And we're going to put up the palms briskly. The cup over the eyes. Covering the eyes softly, not pressing against them. Rub the eyelids and the eyebrows. Gentle massage around the eyes, forehead, sides, cheeks, neck and the throat. Just release that. Softly open the eyes. Namaste again. Welcome everyone. Day number 12 of this very beautiful journey into self-exploration. So before we do the stretch, cat and cow stretch, let's do a little gentle neck movement today. So just keep the head in the center to start with, spine upright. We're going to lower the chin down to the chest while you exhale all the way down. And you inhale, lift the head up, tilt it back, hold the chin up to the ceiling now. One more. Exhale, chin all the way down. Inhale, tilt the head back, chin up to the ceiling. And then you get back to the center now. Sideways movement next. So as you inhale, turn the neck over to the right side. The chin goes on top of the chin goes on the right side, almost over the shoulder. Come back to the center. Turn the neck to the left side. Back to the center. One more round, all the way to the right. We're not dropping the head, it's just turning the neck. Center, to the left now. And center. This time you're going to drop the ear to the corresponding shoulder. So start by dropping the right ear, right shoulder. Make sure the shoulders are hanging loose. Don't lift the shoulders up. Just dropping the head, dropping the ear on top of the shoulder. Pause briefly. Back center. Switch. Left ear. Try and drop it on top of the left shoulder. Center. One more time. Right ear on the right shoulder. Center. Left ear on the left shoulder. And back to the center. Circular movement, now engaging all these three movements. Lower the chin down to the chest. Start turning it to the right. Drop the right ear on top of the right shoulder. Tilt the head back. Pull the chin up to the ceiling. Continue the rotation. Drop the left ear to the left shoulder and then chin down to the chest again. So in a similar manner, complete one more round in this clockwise direction. After 2 rounds, pause. Reverse the rotation now. Same thing. Drop the ears on top of the shoulders as you go across this full circular rotation. Starting the chin to the chest and tilt ears to the sides, tilting the head all the way back. Finally, allow the head to rest, chin down to the chest for a brief moment. When you finish the full sequence of all these rounds, head back to the center now. And relax for a moment. Feel a little sense of relaxation. Okay, now we'll do the cat and cow stretch. Come up on your hands and on your knees. This is the Marjarasana. Hands under the shoulders. Spread the fingers wide, nice and flat, firm palms. Knees under the hips. As you inhale, head up, tailbone up, navel dipping down, look up. Exhale, round the spine. Lift the navel up toward the ceiling, chin down to the chest. A couple more breaths like this. Inhale, dip in the navel, look up. Exhale, round. On your own. Let your breathing guide your movements. Use the next exhalation, next cycle, then bring the spine back to the neutral position briefly, and then sitting up in the Vajrasana for Kapalabhati. All right. Keep the same speed as we did yesterday, 85. Final sequence now, inhale and then completely and forcefully exhale so that you can eliminate all air from the lungs. And then apply the three bandhas while you are able to hold the breath. When you're done with the full sequence, take your time, finish the full sequence, and then bring your breathing back to your natural rhythm of breathing. Briefly talk about the cause of suffering called klesha by Patanjali. So I think I mentioned the word klesha the other day. Klesha is the Sanskrit word for affliction, pain, suffering, many of these translations is good. And let me share that screen. Okay. So remember we said, Patanjali has categorized these kind of suffering or the reasons thereof into five broad categories. Okay. So these are the five, they are called klesha. Klesha is the, like I said, suffering, reasons of suffering. And they are listed here as, in Sanskrit, they are listed as avidya, asmita, raga, dvesha, abhinivesha. These are the five kleshas. I'm just going to use the term klesha. It's not easily translatable, but you understand it's suffering of some sort. Okay. So the words mean ignorance, egoism, ego or egoism, attachments, hatred or aversion or dislike, etc. Those are the words you can use for dvesha. So raga, dvesha. Raga means a strong liking for something, a strong attachment to something. Okay, that's raga. And dvesha is the opposite in the sense that it is a strong dislike, aversion to something, hatred, you can call it. And finally, abhinivesha is fear basically. The abhinivesha, the literal meaning of the word abhinivesha is to have a desire to maintain, you can call it status quo, as they call it. You are very comfortable in your current situation and you want to change it. And so they extend it to the point that they say, okay, we are very comfortable in this life and we are afraid of death. So this desire to cling to this life at the highest level, that's abhinivesha. But any kind of fear, you can think of that as abhinivesha. Because any change brings about fear, any change, you know, in life. So we're afraid of change, so we want to maintain where we are, comfortable, right? But that causes all kinds of pain, all kinds of suffering. So these are the five kleshas. So what is avidya? What is ignorance? The first one, ignorance of what? What are we ignorant of? Anybody want to guess? Ignorance relates to what?
Ignorance about ourselves.
Say that again.
Ignorance about the self.
Ignorance about the self. What does that mean to you?
Means, yeah, usually we think who we are as our mind and our body.
Very good.
Yeah.
Very good. That's excellent. Because we identify ourselves with our body and mind all the time, and that's exactly what we think our existence is all about. But then what we don't realize is that there is this element of consciousness which is required for all this to function. Remember, we talked about these three stages of being: A, U, and M. Om represents three stages: the waking state, dream state, and the dreamless deep sleep. But then, what is it at the substratum level which is present in all these three states? Otherwise, we cannot even be awake. There has to be something that is supporting each one of these states. And that's that pure consciousness. That's that pure being, which Patanjali has called Purusha, other people call Atma, soul, self, with the capital S and all that. Okay. But we don't know that. That's what we are ignorant about. And when that happens, when we are ignorant, and then we are born with that ignorance. There's nothing, it's been going on forever, millennia, we just don't know ourselves. But that gives rise to this feeling that my ego is very powerful. because I don't know my reality, ego takes over. And ego is the one which causes all kinds of problems. It creates all kinds of likes and dislikes. I have a cup of coffee and, I like it and then I get attached to it. If I don't have it, I get a headache. If I dislike certain food, dvesha happens. I don't want it. When we talk to kids, for example, the mother would say, hey, try this food. She says, Mom, I told you I don't like it, but I never tried it. But I told you I don't like it. Why? Just because, it looks something similar to what the child dislikes. And it's a dvesha. It becomes mentally established in your mind. These raga and dvesha, these likes and dislikes, they are embedded in your mind. From not only this life, they say, you carry these vasanas, uh, these impressions in your mind from previous lives. Okay. So what Patanjali says in this next one, that I'm just going to read the translation so we don't spend too much time. Ignorance is the field for the others. That's the kind of the the, uh, the growing field. That's where every other of these five kleshas, of these four remaining ones, that's the that's the mother of all this ignorance. That causes everything. That's the one which gives rise to ego, and then ego takes over and creates all the other problems. Okay? But the reason I want to mention this is because Patanjali gives you an idea. Ignorance is the field for the others mentioned after it, which are the four. Remember, four are ego, raga, dvesha, which is likes and dislikes, and abhinivesha, fear. All these four, they can be in either of these states now. The states mentioned are dormant, kind of a sleep state, feeble. Tanu means little feeble. They're not very strong yet. Intercepted means they come and go. They sometimes it becomes strong, sometimes it becomes weak. They kind of, these things come and go. Okay, but then there are there are some which are active right now. Okay, so maybe uh, I always take the example of food. Okay, so what might be active at this time in your mind is desire to have a certain piece of cake or something, right? That's very active at that point. But then in your subconscious levels, you have other desires, desire to maybe meet somebody, desire to dislike somebody, in the sense that you have that hatred for somebody in your mind, but that might be at a deeper level. It may come and go, all right? So, so then there are the final is where is supta. Supta means it is almost like dormant and you need some strong trigger to bring that up. The reason I bring this all up is, remember we said that in the meditation state, right? There is the sequence that we found. There is this from sarvarthata, which is all pointedness, scattered mind. Remember, we said there are these three different stages, sarvarthata to ekagrata. Ekagrata means one pointedness. So there are moments of one pointedness, there are moments of scattered mind. But then we go into vyuthana, which is this is where the, the mind becomes a little more one pointed, but then you start bringing up these uh, emotions, these feelings that are hidden in our subconscious levels. This is what happens here. So sometimes they are intercepted, sometimes they are feeble, but they are deep, deep, deep inside us, deep inside our subconscious, and they start coming up. And those are the ones which can cause a little more, say, what's the word I want to use? That, let's say, trouble for the mind, basically, because you cannot handle those emotions at that time. Sometimes they happen. Okay, but that's the cleansing, because that's the cleansing that you want to, to eventually get at, purification. Ashuddhi. We want to do Ashuddhi Kshaya. That's the Sanskrit word that Patanjali uses, eliminating all the impurities. And these are the impurities which are, deep down in our subconscious levels. Okay, so that's why I thought I'll mention this. Patanjali is very aware of all this, and he gives you all the ideas, all the concepts. Okay, everyone okay with that? Any thoughts or comments?
Subhash, what is the difference between ignorance and egoism?
Well, ignorance is the lack of understanding who you are. Basically, that's ignorance. I don't know who I am. But then this whole structure is there. There is the ego, there is the mind, there is the buddhi or the intellect. In the Sankhya philosophy, I think I showed you that chart which has all these 23 elements mentioned. Yeah? Right? So normally buddhi or the intellect, uh, uh, you want to mute your
Oh, sorry.
unmute when you want to talk, which is fine. Okay, so what I'm saying is, in this whole chart that we saw on the Sankhya philosophy, it has these 23 elements, right? Starting with the intellect, then the ego, then the mind, and then all the other five senses, everything. But the idea is that we would prefer, our goal is to strengthen the ego, strengthen the intellect. So the ego has its role to play, and it should play only its designated role, not the role of the supreme being, sort of say. But that's what happens when the ignorance is there, ego takes over. Okay, so that's the asmita part. Okay, asmita is I am. Asmita means I amness, right? Then it says, oh, I am supreme. Who the hell are you? Okay, and then all kinds of trouble happens. So there's a subtle distinction between ignorance and asmita or ego. Okay.
What are this is Brandy, what are the, if any, positive attributes of ego?
Well,
Or
the positive attributes of the ego has a role to play, right? Ego has a role to play. It gives you an identity. I am this at this moment. I am an instructor at this moment. I'm a father at a different moment. I'm a son at a different moment. I'm the CEO of a company. I'm a worker. These identities are very important because this is, and ego also has the role to pull stuff from the memory, which we need. Okay. So if you want to, if you have a piece of fruit, it's the ego which will pull stuff from the memory and tell you, okay, it's something that you enjoyed last time. Let's enjoy it now. But the problem with that ego is it gets attached to stuff. And that attachment or dislike, the raga and dvesha, those are the big problems. If you just want to pull stuff from the memory, which ego does, that's its role. That's what we want in life. We have to have access to our memory, otherwise we will never survive. We cannot recognize anything. We don't remember people, we cannot remember food or anything. So ego has a role to play. But we want to limit its role to what it is designated to do, not get into those, clinging to past or clinging to the future. That's what we want to avoid. Does that make sense, Brandy?
it does. Thank you.
You're welcome. Okay. Any other thoughts? Any questions? Linda, did you get your question answered roughly?
I did. Thank you.
Okay. All right. So let's move on. Going to have very little time for anything. But I do want to do some stretching. So we'll do our 2 rounds, basic rounds of Surya Namaskar. Let's come to a standing position. All right, let's move on. Just some stretching. Very simple, 2 rounds. Come up to the top of the mat with the feet together or just slightly apart. Nice and flat feet, firm. And then the whole body is tall, but relaxed. Shoulders roll back. Exhale, palms together. Inhale, arms in front. Raise the arms up. Pull the hands up first and push them back behind the ears. Exhale, bending forward. Arms in front. Finally, drop the hands so you can get the hands closer to the toes. Gentle stretches. Bend the knees, palms on the floor, left foot back. Slide the foot back. Knee down, buttocks down, chest up, chin up. Exhale, right foot back, downward facing dog. Buttocks up, heels down. Look at your feet. Knees, chest, and the chin down. Release the abdomen, head up, chest up, palms up, legs up. Palms down, go back to the downward facing dog. Head up, lift the head up, bring the left foot forward, up between the palms. The right knee down, buttocks down, chest up. And then the right foot forward as you exhale. Feet are together now, and legs straight if it's comfortable. And then see if you can draw the chest down. Head up. Stretch the arms in front against the ears. As you inhale, stretch up. Pull the hands up, push them back, and look up. Exhale, straighten up, and release now. Relax. Feet together. Exhale, palms together. And bring the arms to the side. As inhale, raise the arms up, pull the hands up and push them back. Look up. Exhale, bending forward. Finally, we'll drop the hands. Bring the hands behind the back, interlock the fingers, roll the shoulders back. And then see if you can lift the hands up to the ceiling. Then inhale, and closing the gap between the chest and the thighs. And exhale. And now release the hands. Again, bend the knees, palm on the floor. Just on the right foot back. Slide the foot back. Knee down, chest up, chin up. Left foot back. Downward facing dog. Press the heels down. Push the thighs backwards. Knees down, push the buttocks back all the way to the child pose. Buttocks on the heels, forehead on the floor, and then walk your hands out in front. And then without shifting the hands now, wherever the hands are, make sure they are firm there. Smoothly slide the body forward. And then lift the head up, chest up. Navel should still be on the floor. Called the cobra. Shoulders roll back. Chest is up. Bhujangasana. Go back to the downward facing dog. Head up. Right foot forward, up between the palms. Left knee down, buttocks down, chest and chin up. Left foot forward. Straight legs. Bend over. Head up. On to the side. And as you inhale, stretch up. Pull the hands up and then push them back. And then straighten up. Exhale. And release. Relax now. Ready? Just sit down comfortably with the eyes closed for a moment now. Okay, so now we can softly open the eyes. I just want to spend a few moments now. Um, Obviously, my assumption is that everyone is interested in establishing a regular practice of their own. Now, when we talk about establishing a practice, remember, we said there are 8 limbs of yoga: yamas, niyamas, asana, pranayama. Anybody remember the next one?
Pratyahara.
Pratyahara. Then there are the 3 stages of meditation: dharana, dhyana, and samadhi. Okay, so you have to kind of include all these 8 limbs in our practice. Of course, yamas and niyamas, they represent kind of lifestyle. You have to kind of imbibe these in your daily life, telling truth always, not hurting anybody, not stealing it. So they become a part of your lifestyle. What you practice on your mat on a daily basis is asana, pranayama, pratyahara, and then meditation eventually, right? So that's how most classes are designed. Most schools of practice, they include most of these practices. But in general, of course, in the current style of practices, I'm sure most of you are aware that most emphasis is given to the asana practice, and very little is given to the other aspects of the practice, pranayama or meditation or pratyahara. So that's something that we need to keep in mind, that in terms of the yoga practice, if you look at the goal of yoga, look at the objectives that we have in mind, is to understand who we really are. I mean, that's the main goal ultimately, right? But then Patanjali says you can attain that only if you calm the mind. Chitta vritti nirodha, all right? And then he goes on to explain all these limbs of yoga. And finally, he says that, look, meditation is the most important part of the practice. Without that, nothing can happen. So even the asana practices that have evolved over time, the main purpose of these asana practices is to develop a body that is strong enough, comfortable, stable enough, so that you can sit and meditate. The whole idea of yoga is to sit and meditate. That's the whole idea. Asana practice, pranayama practice, pratyahara, they're all geared to prepare you for meditation. Okay, so that's how I would like you to think of this practice. But how do you establish a practice? So you have to have some asana practice, pranayama, pratyahara, and meditation eventually. But how much time you want to allocate for each one, again, it depends on how much total time you want to allocate. But what I did was, on my blog articles I wrote some time ago, and I gave kind of my guidelines, my recommendations of how you should structure your practice. So let me share that screen. I have it on my blog. Let's go through it very quickly. not what I apologize. I thought I had that on my screen, but I don't seem to be able to get it. Let's try one more time. Ah, there it is. Okay. Okay. Sorry about that. So I have an article that I wrote. This was quite a while ago. And I titled it Home Practice Options, Bare Bones to a Full Practice. Just depending on how much time you want to allocate for your practice. So I started with a bare minimum, which is 20 minutes. Okay. All you have is 20 minutes in a day, or on a given day, maybe. Then you should do Marjara, cat and cow stretch, Surya Namaskara, Pranayama. That's pretty much all you can do in that time. Okay. And then I'm going on here from here on. Basic is 30 minutes. And if you notice, I've started including meditation now as a part of this practice. Pranayama and meditation are very important. All right. So 45 minutes, you add a little more pranayama, some meditation. Then a 1 hour routine, that's where you start adding a little more time to both your pranayama and meditation, right? And then this is the asana practice that I have recommended. Remember, for pratyahara, you have to start including deep relaxation. That pratyahara is very important. Pratyahara is where you turn the senses inward, and this yoga nidra is a very important practice for pratyahara. And then 90 minutes is the ideal routine where you can actually do a fair amount of asana practice and then add about 20 minutes of meditation eventually. Okay. So this is roughly kind of the structure that I have proposed in this article. Of course, everyone is going to have a little different approach. When you start practicing, ideas will come, and then you will modify your practice based on your own availability of time, your own likes and dislikes. All that will happen, right? So modify it as per your convenience. And you can always, if you don't have time all in one stretch, you can split this practice into multiple segments. You can do maybe meditation in the morning, pranayama in the afternoon, asana in the evening, or whatever time it takes, whatever is convenient for you. You can split that. Key guideline, as I always mention, is all practices must be done on an empty stomach. All practice, all yoga practices, asana, pranayama, everything on an empty stomach, because you want the full availability of the pranic energy for your practice. That's the only way that will help you develop a deep practice. If the prana is busy digesting food, if you have had too much food in the stomach, prana is busy there, then you don't have any energy left for your asana practice. And prana is not available. Okay, you won't enjoy it. It won't be very beneficial. And then physiologically also, that's not very good. All right. So any questions on this now? I don't want to spend a whole lot of time, but any other thoughts on how to establish your home practice? Everyone okay with this?
Subhashi,
Yes.
is it empty stomach? Does it mean we can drink water also, or
No. Empty stomach means no, my normal guideline is a 3 hour gap between your previous meal and the yoga practice, right? So it won't be absolutely empty, but you can have a glass of water, even a small cup of tea. All that is okay, but be just careful not to have too much food in the stomach. If you've had a good meal, let's say an hour ago, big heavy meal, and you start doing downward facing dog or sarvangasana, the food might come out actually. It won't be very comfortable. You will feel that. Something like, half a glass of juice, small cup of tea, small amount of water, that's fine. It's okay. All right. Everyone okay with that? Okay. Let's, we have not much time left at all today. So let's do our final pranayama practice that we always do, alternate nostril breathing, Nadi Shuddhi. Okay. So Vishnu Mudra with the right hand, Chin Mudra with the left. Okay. Remember the key guideline is 1:2 ratio between inhale and exhale, durations, right? So keep a count in your mind. Every breath is very soft and deep. Full breath. Start with the belly, filling out when you inhale, suck the belly in when you exhale. Those are the key guidelines. Does anybody need instructions or are you all comfortable? If you need instructions, speak up. Otherwise, go ahead and keep going. Okay, let's finish the next round now. Take your time. Finish the final sequence. Final exhalation being from the left side. At the end of that sequence, just bring your breathing back to your natural rhythm of breathing. Ready? We'll stretch the legs out in front. Our final gentle stretch, Paschimottanasana. Legs straight, feet together. Raise the arms up as you inhale, exhale, bending forward. Okay. Spine is elongated. drop the chest only. If it's comfortable, that's when you exhale. Keep breathing. And as you inhale, raise the arms up. Exhale, release. Sit comfortable, cross leg in position for yoga mudra. Keep the eyes closed, spine comfortably tall. Bring the hands behind the back, softly hold the right wrist. And as you exhale, nice and slow move, bend forward now. Stay in the final position for a few more moments. Keep breathing. And as you inhale, slowly come back up. Smooth. And finally release. The arms, legs lie down on your back in preparation for yoga nidra. So it's deep relaxation. It helps turn the senses inward. Remember pratyahara. It's important. Okay, let's get up into the half boat if it's comfortable. This is for our sequence to tighten the muscles in the body. If it's not comfortable, keep the head down or the legs down. So legs are straight, knees are straight, toes pointing away. Arms are straight in front. Spread the fingers wide and tight. Fist, tight fist with the hands. I will work on the facial muscles. Open the mouth, tongue out, curl it down toward the chin. Eyes are open. Tense up all the facial and neck muscles now. Pull the hands away from you. Squeeze the buttocks tight. Thighs, knees, kneecaps, calf muscles, ankles. Point the toes away. And we'll engage every single muscle in the body at this point to bring about a deep tightness of the body, squeezing every muscle tight, tight squeeze. And let go. So when you allow the body to find a very naturally comfortable posture now. Shavasana, dead body. Corpse pose. Experiment with the position. Spread the feet apart, almost the width of the mat, palms facing up, head resting very comfortably on the ground in the center, eyes closed. Let's go through a mental scan of the body, toes to head, looking for any sign of any kind of tension or fatigue, any kind of tight muscles. Just making that nice mind-body connection. Mind sending in a wave of relaxation. The muscles of the body begin to loosen up. Start feeling that subtle sense of heaviness of the body on the floor. Muscles are loose and relaxed. They feel heavy. Subtle heaviness is what gives us a feeling of deep relaxation. Body feels nicely supported by the ground. Relaxed. Body relaxed, mind at peace. We'll just enjoy this peace now for the next few moments. Let's bring the awareness back to the breathing slowly and begin to breathe slightly deeper breaths now. Gradually begin to stretch the fingers, curl the toes, the hands, feet, arms and legs. Stretch the whole body, pulling the arms overhead, Putting the hands back behind you, toes pointing away. Good stretch, and then roll to one side for a brief moment. Come back up to a sitting position. Softly open the eyes. Like I mentioned yesterday, today again, we would like to repeat that experience of the Trataka practice, candle gazing. So if you need to just pick up a candle, and remember it should be at the eye level. So you need a kind of a stool or something where you can place it. So it's at the eye level, okay? So I'm going to just take 1 minute myself. I'm going to light the candle in front of me. So just give me a minute, and you also take your time to prepare your candle. So get ready for it. Also, what I'll do is I'll again look for that candle on the YouTube channel and display it on the screen for those who don't have a physical candle handy. Share the screen. Second. Okay. Those who need the screen, can everyone see the screen? I hope you can. Can everyone see the candle on the screen? Just want to make sure.
Yes, Subhash.
Okay.
Yes,
Okay, so this is what we'll do now. Just find a very nice, comfortable posture. As always, posture is very important for meditation. The spine needs to be nice and tall, vertical spine, head, neck, and the trunk should be aligned. You can sit in any position. Like I said, you can use a cushion to sit on, you can use a bolster, a block, or if you need, you can sit in a chair. But make sure you are comfortable. And you should be facing the candle directly. You don't have to turn, you should not have to turn your neck to look at the candle. Completely directly in front. Once you have that position nice and comfortable, close the eyes. And we always like to start by becoming aware of the breath, feeling the flow at the tip of the nose. Allow the breath to settle down. Remember, when the breath is very calm and soft, it helps keep the mind calm and peaceful. Breath and the mind are interconnected. Softly open the eyes and try to gaze intently at the flame of the candle. And you can pick a spot on the flame or just the entire flame. what gives you a good experience of this gazing. And we'll try to maintain the gaze if possible, even without blinking the eyes. Also, we want to set the intention that we want to maintain the body perfectly still. No movement of any parts of the body, if possible. Need to wiggle around, that's fine. While you're gazing at the flame, if at any time you feel any kind of discomfort, any kind of strain on the eyes, you should close the eyes and relax. Sometimes the eyes begin to water. If that happens, again, close the eyes and relax. Otherwise, stay with the gaze until I give you the signal to close the eyes. So very focused gaze at the flame of the candle. Bringing in a sense of deep, one-pointed focus of the mind. Combination of the state of pratyahara and dharana. Softly now, close the eyes. As soon as you close the eyes, you might be able to see an after image of this flame in your mind, or the whole candle, or some part of the candle, the flame. You see an after image, a little after glow, you can think of it. Keep that image in the center of your mind's eye and do an internal gaze at that image now. Even more powerful in bringing your mind to that one-pointed focus. Now you're trying to maintain that image steady, center of your mind's eye, maintaining the gaze while the image is still active, still on. Eventually, of course, the image will fade away and finally disappear. As I mentioned last time, the duration, how long it stays in your view will depend on, first of all, the intensity of the flame and just very individual then. And actually with practice, you might be able to maintain that view for a longer and longer time. It's a very beautiful practice, internal gazing at the image, deeply focusing the mind, one-pointedness. Ekagrata, that's the Sanskrit word they use for one-pointedness, ekagrata. And when the image finally disappears, once again bring your awareness back to your breath. And it's always just observe the flow at the tip of the nose for a moment. This same experience one more time. So softly open the eyes and fixing the gaze at the candle flame now. Just constantly, intently gazing at the flame. Like I said, you can either pick a spot on the flame or just do the entire flame. Keeping the body perfectly still. Before, if at any time the eyes feel any kind of strain or discomfort, close the eyes. The eyes begin to water, close the eyes, relax. Otherwise, again, maintain the gaze until I give you the signal to close the eyes. Skin now. Softly close the eyes, and as soon as you close the eyes, you should be able to see an after image, the afterglow of the flame, and then maintain the inner gaze at that image. Try to maintain the image steady in the very center of your mind's eye. Continue to gaze now on that inner image until finally that image might begin to fade away and disappear. But like I said, maintain this gaze for as long as you have that image in the mind. It's a very beautiful practice to bring the mind to a very nice, deep focus, inner focus. And since the duration of this inner view or the image will be different for everyone, I'm just going to give you the instructions right now. Whenever that image fades away and disappears, that's when you bring the awareness to the breath for a moment. Transition to the third eye awareness, which is the spot between the two eyebrows. And then visualize that expanse of space called Chidakasha, space of consciousness. And then transition to your own mantra meditation. Take your time. Continue to gaze at the flame or the image of the flame as long as it stays in your mind. And then do the full transition to your mantra meditation. Shift your awareness back to the breathing and begin to watch the flow of breath at the tip of the nose for a moment. As you begin to feel any sensations in the body, anywhere in the body that you might experience, becoming aware of the surroundings, any sounds that you might pick up. We'll do our closing sequence now. So spine comfortably tall as we've done before. And then let's recite Om once now. Deep inhalation. Palms together, prayer position, Shanti mantra. Inhale. Om Asato Ma Sadgamaya Tamaso Ma Jyotirgamaya Mrityorma Amritangamaya. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Lead me from unreal to the real, darkness to light, from the fear of death to the knowledge of immortality. Peace, peace, peace. Palms crisply. Okay. Soft cover of the eyes with the palms. Relaxing the eye muscles, eyes, optical nerves. Release the hands. Join the palms together. Raise the arms up. And as you exhale, bend forward. Shri Guru Bhyo Namaha. With deep respect, I bow down to all my gurus, my teachers. Pay a very special tribute to my teacher, sage Patanjali. So come back up. Thank you all very much.